Time to make Beatrice. Oh wait, Buddha's over there. We should go check him out. Welcome back to OCHATO. I am Jade.
I'm Oliver.
And I'm Suellen.
Every 2 weeks, we pick a manga that one of us has recommended and we read up to a certain chapter and discuss the manga with a megaton of spoilers. This week, we are reading Saint Young Men by Hikaru Nakamura, up to and including chapter 22, and this was recommended by me. But before diving in, we must know the answer to the most important question. What is everyone drinking in their mug?
I'm having spice clementine.
Mm.
Little yellow teapot.
Yellow teapot that you have decided to pour on top of the computer.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
Very nice. Does it smell spiced?
Yes. On a scale of, I want to say from 0 to 10, 10 being the most spiciest, maybe like a 3.5. I think I diluted a bit too much. Right. I keep pouring it back and forth from my cup to the teapot.
Very nice.
That's lovely. How about you, Ollie?
I've got the blueberry pancake stuff from Bird and Blend. Still actually left over from Pancake Day back yay when. It is delicious, but slightly less sweet after having just had pudding. So it's now like bearably sweet.
Didn't I get you guys the Bird and Blend teas last Christmas?
Yeah.
Yeah, you got us a subscription. And like the third month, I think, included the Pancake Day stuff. And we're now recording this in August. So it's been around for a while. I've been saving it for special occasions, also known as podcasts.
Oh, wow. I had no idea that like you guys were still drinking the Bird and Blend teas.
It was
That's
great.
amazing.
Thank you.
That's amazing.
Very long. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I am drinking Yorkshire Tea's Jam and Toast blend.
Jam and toast. What?
Jam and toast. It's the malted biscuit brew.
I do know.
That tastes like the cow biscuits. So basically, I went to Sainsbury's and I saw that they had the toast and jam ones, and I was like, you know what, I'll try it. It's not bad. I put milk in mine.
This is painfully English.
I mean, it's next time I come see you guys, I'll bring a whole batch so that you can try it out. But
yes,
it's nice. It's surprisingly nice. Like I don't know if it's like my tea of choice, but I'm not faulting it either. Like I think it's a nice tea, but I feel like it's one of those teas where you have to like drink it with. I wouldn't drink this tea when I'm eating like aubergine, like fried aubergine, for example.
Right, very specific.
Like
that was very specific.
I wouldn't like necessarily pair those two together, but I would, I'd probably drink this if I was eating, for example, on the pancake theme, a pancake, with like honey, sugar on it. This would go really, really well with that. I suppose it's a good tea for traveling with as well. Like I wouldn't mind taking this on the bus with me on my daily commute, just sipping on it because it's got a nice aroma to it as well. Good. Yeah.
I've noticed is that I guess in like Western culture maybe, or maybe just like eating out in general, maybe not particular Western thing, people tend to like drink with their meals, right?
Do you mean alcohol or tea?
No, yeah, maybe alcohol, but like tea or like water or like soda or.
You telling me you don't?
Like at home? No, never.
You heathen.
House.
Where's your hydration?
We're in an Asian household. You eat rice, you eat dish. Like all the vegetables have, like enough moist.
That's like the minimum amount of hydration required for a meal.
No. Actually, good point. Actually, I think we don't like because the way we cook our like vegetables is very like different, I guess, because we use a lot of water, and the vegetable itself excrete a lot of water when you cook it. So we keep that soup. It's like flavoring, like brothy Yeah.
Yeah.
So you don't need water or any beverages. I mean, we do drink like broth or soup like before or after a meal, but we don't drink it like at the same time. No. So I always find it weird.
Isn't the holy combo like rice and miso soup?
Probably.
Because
probably in Japan then.
I was told from actually from the guy at the wasabi shop, so it's not exactly genuine, but he was like, look, combo the miso soup and the rice and it's incredible. And it was.
Oh yeah, I mean we do like but it's more like you actually mix the rice with the miso soup.
No. You like eat a bit of rice and then you drink some miso soup.
Yeah.
The rice must remain pure is also what I got yelled at.
Oh wow.
Wow.
Yeah. Cause like I guess like we usually like steam vegetables quite a lot.
Yeah.
And it's actually really interesting because like, you know, I'm at home, like, you know, people don't really usually drink with their dinners and stuff, or like lunch, maybe like water at the, you know, as a minimum. But it also like it gets me thinking, like, you know, in like Chinese restaurants and stuff, they give you green tea.
Right. Yeah.
And like, yeah, that's really interesting because I don't know if that's like the thing that people do, or if it's just like a fancy restaurant thing.
They do it in restaurants. Yeah, I think you're given like a pot of tea or hot water, depending, you know, what you ask for, like jasmine tea or like oolong tea.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I just always notice that like at home in China, like we do not drink anything when we're eating, but when we're out, like you're given like teas with your like food and meals and stuff.
This is just wrong to me. I have like at a minimum a pint of water, but then I usually have like one or two other drinks as well with a meal.
Oh wow.
So if I'm just at home, I'll have like maybe just water. But then when I'm out, I'm like, you know, I could go for like a fizzy drink or like, you know, maybe even a beer, but I'll also still have the water. And then if they're like, hey, we also do free green tea, I'm like, yes, hit me up.
Yeah.
So I'm actually known as 2-drink Berling at home because I almost always have 2 drinks.
That's amazing.
Speaking of staying hydrated, do you know who else is very hydrated? It is Jesus and Buddha. And they are our main stars in this week's manga. So as I mentioned before, we are reading Saint Young Men by Hikaru Nakamura. This was first published in 2006. And it's basically this sort of slice of life comedy series about Jesus and Buddha. And after, you know, doing their thing, they decided that they needed a vacation and they decided to go to Japan. And in this manga, they are roommates. And they have a very, very good bond. They're very good friends, and it's really about documenting their misadventures. And you know, it shows us what they get up to and how they perceive Japanese culture and Japan. Yeah, it's basically about those two with some other characters involved as well. But let's start off by doing first impressions. So what did you think when you first read Saint Young Men?
My first impression of the manga, yeah, I guess I don't know what I was expecting, but I think as soon as like the first sort of page, it kind of gives you an idea that, you know, it's a gag comedy manga. Yeah, so you kind of set the tone. You're like, I'm not expecting sort of much crazy, I don't know, like deep storytelling. I don't know. So it kind of set the tone a bit, but yeah, but I think as I read it more, kind of start to appreciate some of the, I guess, how the mangaka weaves in, you know, what was it, the story, well, not stories, but like stuff in the Bible, or like what happened, you know, Buddha's story into the jokes. And yeah, it just seemed more like, you know, a lot of research was done, and a lot of, I guess, they're not done as like a mockery, but more like appreciation of like the two religions, Christianity and Buddhism. Yeah.
I agree there. I think that it was very cute, and I thought it was very much a kind of wholesome interpretation of it.
Yeah.
It wasn't mocking, which I did appreciate. And I mean, it could have been quite, I don't want to say offensive, but I guess so. Had it been done in the wrong way. But I think that they did it fairly tastefully. The version I was reading had a terrible English translation, which I will admit put me off a little bit. A lot of the grammar was just kind of off enough that it didn't quite flow, but I think that was just that adaptation's problem, not a problem with the manga itself. But it was definitely cute.
Yeah, I think I'd echo both of your thoughts. It was very light-hearted. Like, there were bits when I was just like creasing because, it was very much, the mangaka was sort of teaching me about these two religions because I don't really, I don't really identify with a religion, and also I don't really know a lot about Buddhism and Christianity. So it was interesting, like, seeing the translator notes on the side and, the explanations and, the various, the connection between the two is very, there's a lot of love in this story, I think, especially between Jesus and Buddha, because you can see that they're quite good friends. And I think that, as a core of like those two religions, how I interpret Buddhism and Christianity is like respect and love. And, I think that was portrayed quite well in, from my understanding of those two religions. So, I really liked it as a first impression. So our two main characters are Jesus and Buddha, and the two that we always see, and they're often doing things together and stuff. And there are some other characters like their landlord. Who else? The little kids.
The
Yakuza. Yes.
Yeah. And the heavenly beings as well. What did Ananda. Nanda.
Oh. I love that. Nanda.
Yeah, me
too. Like in Japanese, like that joke.
What did you think of the characters?
I liked that they had kind of different ways of going about things, but had that common ground of kind of living together and clearly being a little bit struggling for money. I found almost all the other characters kind of forgettable, to be honest, except for the Yakuza, who I thought were perfect for the gag. And the fact that they turn up again a little later really helped. I also remember the landlady, but that's mostly it. I think it is very much focused on kind of Jesus and Buddha and how they're kind of interacting with some of the things that are happening in the world, rather than, say, having a large cast of characters, such as, for example, maybe Gintama, which has quite a few like recurring characters. So I liked him. I really like that common ground between the two of them, especially.
Yeah, I think they bounce quite well off each other. And like Jay said, they must have been really good friends, and they know quite a lot about each other's perks and flaws and little things. I don't know, like Jesus, when he wants to do something but he can't do it, he bleeds. Yeah, like little things like that.
Is that because he, when you're trying really hard, you get like the bulging vein on your forehead, but he's obviously wearing a crown of thorns, so that's kind of how I interpreted that.
Yeah.
Same with him being like really annoyed, because you get the crossed veins appearing classically in like manga and anime. But again, he's wearing a crown of thorns.
Buddha's just there shining.
yeah, I did like that. Yeah, Buddha's hair must also be a nightmare to draw each time. I'm looking at it now and it's like so many tiny little circles.
But would you be the one to give Buddha a haircut?
Well, after that chapter.
Speaking of chapters, what did you think of the storyline?
Yeah, I love it. It's so cute. It's just them like spending time on the earth, like just appreciate like the little things in life, you know, like Christmas and parades and riding tandem bikes. Yeah, it's just yeah, the gags are great. They're so funny. Yeah, I laughed out loud quite a lot of times when reading it. Yeah, I think that it's just so wholesome, you know, like there's nothing, you know, you can like pick apart in terms of like the stories. I guess I would ask is like what people's favorite gags are.
I mean, favorite gag was for me that just the Yakuza turning up and the fact that Jesus would say, "Oh, all these things happened to me," and they were like, "Oh my God, you know what's been going on? This guy's into some heavy stuff."
Yeah.
I think mine would be, you know, the whole Johnny Depp gag.
Oh yeah.
You could tell it was kind of written around 2006, can't you?
Yeah.
For the plot itself, I felt it was a bit more like Yotsubato that we read a while back, where you can kind of pick up just an individual chapter at some point in the story. It won't necessarily matter if you've read them chronologically, because I don't feel that there's a huge amount of actual plot, as it were. It's more like chapter by chapter, which is really nice if you're just kind of reading it casually, maybe like a chapter on the way into work or school, or, you know, a chapter before bed, something like that. Personally, I would have liked a bit more continuity, but equally, we've only given it 22 chapters, so it's not had that much time. And we have seen some recurring characters and recurring jokes, which, you know, if in the future they can keep going well, I could see it being really good.
I felt like there's like a tiny line connecting all of the chapters together, but as you said, Ollie, you can kind of just pick one up and just read it and not worry about forgetting what happened last time. So my next question to you is, how did you find the artwork of Saint Young Men?
Yeah, I love it. I think it works really well as a gag comedy, like the expressions and yeah, the delivery. It works really well. And I think we all learned from going to the British Museum manga exhibition that the mangaka had to hire an assistant to draw the little hairs on Buddha's head. So yeah, it must have taken a lot of work just to do that.
Man, that hair's just so many circles. I thought that the art was fine. It worked quite well for comedy, and most importantly, many of the characters were very distinct from one another. There's the classic test of put people in different clothes. Can you tell them apart? Yes, is definitively the answer in this. Partly due to their hair, I think. Both Jesus with his headband and Buddha with his incredible hair.
And cold earlobes.
Yes, exactly. And his nice, cool earlobes do definitely stand out. And I'm looking at some of the other characters, like in the market or as part of the Yakuza, and you can definitely tell them apart. So I think it works well. It didn't, you know, speak to me on a spiritual level as, say, Witch Hat Atelier or some of the others have. But I thought it worked pretty nicely and it looked good.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, I really liked the artwork. I liked that it was simple enough to sort of tell what was going on and also convey the comedy brilliantly. One thing that I really liked was that the facial expressions accompanied the speech so well. So for example, I wrote down this like one moment, like when Jesus is confidently like, Joseph was a carpenter, and Buddha's like, will you be able to build a house? And Jesus says, I'm scared of hitting my own hand. And the facial expressions from confident to like just really, really scared are like conveyed so brilliantly in this manga, I thought, you know, and I liked the style, the outfits, especially with the printed t-shirts were brilliant.
That was cute.
Yeah,
those printed t-shirts were one of the highlights for me. They have so many different ones.
Yeah, and then like Buddha's just got it stashed away in the closet.
Yeah,
and it's funny that you mentioned the British Museum, Suellen, because I was literally thinking about the postcard that I bought with like the print of it was a really nice frame of Jesus and Buddha in their flat, but I think Jesus is sleeping and then Buddha's looking up. It's like a really nicely framed print, but I think just that, like the style of it really drew me in. The way they drew Jesus and Buddha, as you said, it was very cute, like not in like a
Uwu way.
Not in an uwu way, but in a sort of like we're just two best pals, like enjoying our time together and we really love each other, that kind of thing. So I really liked that. I know we've talked about favorite gags, but were there any other significant moments in Saint Young Men that you would like to share your joy at?
There's so many, man. Like I really like, the bread, the turning stones into bread like gag. I love it. When I think Jesus keep like trying to cook but keep turning things into bread, and then he's like, oh no, don't worry, I can turn them back, and the trick is just to be really sad. All the bread. That made me laugh.
For me, I think the haircut was, other than the accuser, the one that stood out the most to me. I liked it a lot. It was a good one, and I had been wondering about that hair up until then, so it was nice getting a bit more context.
I like that Buddha said that, what was it, he thought that it would become a black hole.
Yeah. That's a lot of hair.
Yeah, I think one moment for me that stood out was a really heartwarming moment, like when I think they were at this resort place or like on holiday, and they were both really cold, but Buddha, had his jacket, and then like Jesus was freezing, and then Buddha pulls out his jacket, and he's like, Jesus, do you want your jacket? And that was so sweet, because it really showed the bond between the two. Like they're very caring towards each other. I really like how they're sort of like opposites but similar, if you get what I mean. Like Jesus is like, can we get a PS Vita? But it's like reaching for the rice cooker. So I really liked that.
You would expect them both to be pretty good people, as they are saint young men.
That is true. Do you find yourself do you find yourself aligning more with Jesus or Buddha in how they're at the beginning of each chapter, it's like, what would Buddha do or what would Jesus do in like these scenarios? What would you?
That's interesting.
Definitely Buddha. I'm not gonna lie to
you.
I think it would be I think I'd be a bit more like Jesus.
Yeah, quite impulsive when they're purchasing. Like, ooh,
bad. No.
I guess it makes it balance each other out, in our friendship group. We could be no, so
I think one other moment that I remember was when it was Christmas Day. It was Jesus's birthday, and like Buddha was trying to like lead Jesus away from like all the hints that would tell Jesus that it's his birthday or something. So then like the guy's like, do you believe in Jesus? And Buddha's like, yes, I believe in Jesus. And then Jesus is like,
oh, really?
No, I really like, I feel like this manga has a lot of like standout moments.
I just remember another one. It's like they would like every time I guess like Buddha like sits cross-legged, like he's, I don't know, saintliness like multiplied 30% or something, and then Jesus was like, oh, you gotta try to sit more like a gangster. And they're both just like squatting there, and they're like, oh yeah, I'm feeling like like a delinquent, like I could like rap. They're like rapping about their past. I thought that was hilarious, because especially I'm like familiar with like Buddha story. It's made it extra funny.
Yeah. So as you may know, here at OCHATO, we like to think about everyone in the world of manga. And one thing we have tried to do is bring a character from the previous manga that we've reviewed into the current one that we are reviewing. And it, last episode's manga just so happens to be Umineko When They Cry. So who do we want to bring in from Umineko When They Cry?
Oh, Lord.
Yeah.
I think we should just bring in Battler. He's a very impulsive young man, but he's also very, very smart and very well read. How do you think he'd fare?
Do you reckon he would like living with Jesus and Buddha?
You know what? Should we also bring in, while we're at it, should we bring in Maria too?
Sure.
The little girl who's got a massive interest in the occult and witches and demons.
What about Beatrice?
That could work too, actually. It's tough. We didn't see much of Beatrice in what we read, so I'm unsure how much we could talk about it. But I could see us having a lot of fun bringing a witch into a situation with two religious icons.
I mean, I feel like Jesus and Buddha would try and befriend them all and like end up becoming really good friends.
Yeah, I mean, with Beatrice, I can definitely see them just being like each party, like Beatrice, and then the other two being like, "How are you doing this? What is this?" When he's like glowing, or she does some like mad mystery. And then if they had maybe Maria around as well, I could see her just like refusing to believe that it's all, holy stuff, and that they're also both witches. And then they're trying to convince her that actually they're not witches, they're spiritual icons.
I can sort of see the butterflies that form Beatrice coming in and being really confused. Because you know how the one thing that I got from Saint Young Men is that animals like to flock to Buddha.
They
do. Like to like rest on him because he's a really good person. Is that I don't understand. Maybe that's what I get. So maybe they'll come in through the window and they're like, time to make Beatrice. Oh wait, Buddha's over there. We should go check him out. So I can totally see that happening.
I was envisioning that as them like basically spawning her just on top of him each time.
Yeah. While he's sleeping as well.
Yeah, just chaos as a witch, huge dress and all, just like. Pfft.
Yeah. What did he say at the beginning? No, this isn't Nirvana. I'm trying to sleep or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can shed some light on why animals flock to Buddha. It's because like Buddha is obviously he reached enlightenment, but also the reason why he was doing all these like hardships, what they call it, asceticism. How do you pronounce it?
Asceticism.
Asceticism, yeah. It's because like Buddha, being a Buddha, it's like the fastest way to like help sentient beings and save them from suffering. So he's like, when he reached that point, he's like wholeheartedly like let go of the idea of self, and he's everything he does is for other being, like to help other being or make them suffer less. So animals are sort of know from like the bottom of the heart that Buddha wouldn't harm them, and he's like, because it's so rare to be like enlightened and sort of think wholeheartedly for other beings. It's like Buddha is like precious, right? People or like animals will try to protect him, and even it's quite funny, like the cat bit where like the cat is like crawl onto the plate. It's like, oh, eat me. Like, yeah, what they're doing is actually like what Buddha would have done as well. So and the cat as well is probably on their way to enlightenment as well, if they're able to sort of sacrifice themselves for food.
Truly an enlightened cat.
Yeah, so every sentient being can become Buddha. Yeah, so yeah, that is why.
Nice, thank you.
Yeah, because wasn't there a moment when like a turkey came to their door with like a box of matches in its mouth or something?
Oh yeah.
And they were like, no, we please no. Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
I did like the animal gags. They were all very cute.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it makes me think like, how did the mangaka, like, how long did it take the mangaka to sort of research or like, you know, maybe they drew from their own experience of, you know, being part of like following a religion, or, you know, but it seems like they've got things like, would you say they've portrayed the, you know, like Buddhism well in this manga?
Yeah, I would say in terms of the, you know, origins of the gags, like those facts are quite well. But I understand like Buddha is just a character in the manga. It's not to be realistic, but it's quite fun though, like the way they did it. And very creative as well. I think that's the thing that I guess we sort of touched on, but it, you know, needs to be re-emphasized, is that like, yeah, it's really creative, so that you can like turn something that people nowadays I feel like, oh, you can't joke about, but you can do it in a wholesome way, without turning into like a mocking or caricature, right? Turning these religious figures. I guess going back to putting Umineko into Saying Young Men, I think that it would be funnier if, let's say, Beatrice and maybe Maria like keep trying to sabotage, like trying to kill them, right? The two, but just things just keep getting in the way, and then they're like, what the hell? What's happening? Or like, or Buddha and Jesus are being really scared of Beatrice because like bad things keep happening, but they like start, you know, like Buddha will start like chanting, and then Jesus will like, I don't know, call for help from the angels. And I can see maybe perhaps Maria seeing all these like cool phenomenons, like instead of being loyal to Beatrice, maybe she'll be like, oh my God, like Buddha. And, yeah, following Jesus. Yeah, I think one thing was like quite interesting with this manga, like I guess it's kind of like the continuity. Like sometimes people recognize them, and sometimes like mostly people recognize Buddha and they're like giving him offerings, but sometimes they just treat him like a regular person, or they don't realize it's him. But sometimes people, right, like it's not consistent. I guess you could say it's like varies from people to people whether they believe it's a Buddha or not, right? Yeah, so that could also happen with Maria. Maybe she could instantaneously be like, oh, that's Buddha, what? What? Like being really confused. Yeah, but I think it would be funny to have the story as like good versus evil, where like Beatrice keeps trying to sabotage them, but they just miraculously escape each time without realizing it, but because the nature of their being, like one is Buddha and one is Jesus, son of God. That would be a funny spin-off.
Yeah, it would be interesting if they were like, so they've both like been through like suffering, right? Like with, you know, Jesus being crucified and stuff, and they're like, you trying to kill me? You trying to kill me? Come on, come on. Yeah, I think it's interesting that you point out that discontinuity, because yeah, I think I picked up on that as well. Especially when, you know, they were at the temple, was it? And then, you know, they didn't get to ring the bell, and then Buddha flashes them his Buddha smile, and they're like, oh wait, what? Wait, but yeah, and then what was it in the restaurant when they, you know, they got the unlimited refill cups, and they were like, we're gonna stay here to get our unlimited refills, and then the waitress is like, you know, your sacred beings or something, and then it's like, oh, so you recognize them? But like, yeah, that was, yeah. But I also think with the Umineko thing, Jesus especially would be like, you know, if Buddha sticks with him, he'd be so protected from like the people above in heaven, because, you know, he has his GPS tracker and they're always like, they have eyes on him, so they will not let him. Who is the guy who, like, the destroyer guy?
The destructive angel.
Yeah,
I think it was Uriel. I'm not sure.
Uriel, yeah. You know, all he has to do is like, I don't know, call, or like,
yeah.
Or even just from a murder mystery perspective, having a +1 life is like, that's quite helpful.
Yeah.
Oh, you thought I was gone? I'm back.
Do we have any final thoughts on Saint Young Men?
For my part, I quite enjoyed it. I would have liked it to have done, I guess, a bit more. For me, I'm kind of contrasting this to Daily Lives of High School Boys, or Danchiko Kosen or Nichijo, if you've heard of that, which has a similar kind of sense of humor. But in my eyes, did it slightly better due to having a slightly larger cast. In this case, I think having the small cast was the right choice because it's literally about the lives of Jesus and Buddha. But I would have maybe liked a few more recurring side characters that popped up a little more frequently, just to add a bit more variety. It was very cute. It was very much the kind of thing you can just pick up and read a chapter and feel a bit better. However you were feeling before, you'll feel a bit better afterwards. So I did quite enjoy it, and it was a fun read. What did you think, Suellen?
Yeah, I thought it was a really wholesome read, very funny, and I learned a lot about like both religion, even though one of them is mine. Yeah, and I think I appreciate the sort of representation as well of like Buddhism. I feel like, I guess, because it's a manga that's in Japan, so and they already have sort of Japanese Buddhism or Zen Buddhism. It's quite sort of it's like household name, like people know about it. But I appreciate it, doing quite well here in the West as well, being translated, and people like the movie and such. So yeah, because like Western media, I don't see any. It's hard to find like representation of or know anything about like religion other than Christianity. I feel like I think they're doing a little bit better, including talking about Islam or but I feel like Buddhism is being used as like not a gag, but like as a thing that attached to a character, when a character is like, oh, they're being weird and trying to be hip, and they're Buddhists now, like they use like that kind of connotation of kind of making fun of like white people trying to appropriate Asian culture. So it has that kind of undertone when they mention Buddhism. So I don't really see anyone who's like educating people on what Buddhism is. So I appreciate like manga in that form, that it's sort of educating people about it, but also making it fun. I think that's the key thing about it. Yeah, if only all sort of like they can make a maths manga or like I don't know, like I don't know, a differential equation, like polynomial.
You're trying to learn physics and maths.
Yeah, well, I like physics is like a cool office guy, and maths is like this like nerdy soft guy. And they're like roommates, and the daily life for physics and maths. Oh, that'd be fun.
Yeah,
right?
Definitely could be.
Right? Yeah, that's my thought. 100% recommended.
Nice. Ollie, were you going to say something about the anime?
Oh, I was thinking I haven't seen the anime. I have realized that there is an anime with 2 episodes, but I feel like this kind of thing could really benefit and really be enhanced with some good voice acting. And I think that if you have some people that are good at injecting humor into the way that they're kind of reading some of these lines from Jesus and Buddha, I could see it being really funny.
So I've seen the anime film, and it is really funny because when they're carrying, I forget what it's called, but when the bullies who like pick on Buddha, like try and like shoot him with the rubber band, Jesus like steps in front of them and says something like, "What's wrong?" in like a really like cool voice. Yeah, so like blocks the rubber band from hitting Buddha. But yeah, I think I'd recommend both the manga and the anime film. I watched it online. I think my final thoughts on this are just I really recommend this series. I think it's as you said, it makes you feel better. You learn a lot about both religions, and it's portrayed in such a way that it's very wholesome, very lighthearted, and you really see the foundations of the religions. One question that I have for you, Suellen, is do you know why Buddha's earlobes are long?
That I'm afraid I don't know. But it's probably to do with like, because from a general perspective, like Buddha's like appearance, technically like his appearance, or how should I say it, like he only appeared the way he appeared because he's foresees, because he's omniscient. He's not omnipotent, but he like knows everything. He knows that's the best way, that most appealing to like the vast sentient beings. So like in our religion, like Buddha does everything because he's doing everything to benefit everyone. So whatever choices he makes in terms of like how he appears in his form is for the benefit of beings. I'm sure there's a specific reason, but the core reason is definitely that's the best way to like appealing. And plus, I think there's a saying that like how much merit you got, it's like to do with like the fatter the earlobes, the better. Essentially, that means like you have a lot of in Chinese like 福报 or 福气. It means like you've done a lot of good things, then you have a lot of merit, like in life. If you have like a thin earlobe, that means you're probably going to go through a lot of hardship and you're not going to have a lot in life, but not to be sad about, because you can still be a good person.
It sounds like something that somebody with fat earlobes has made up to be like, I am best.
Yeah, but yeah, definitely it's like, it means like good fortune if you have like big earlobes. But I'll let you know when I look into it, because yeah, like I said, I learned a bit about my religion as well from reading this manga. Yeah,
I've definitely learned a lot from this. Sorry, Jade, go on.
Yeah, no, me too. Like, coming from someone who I did what was it, short course RE at school, and I've forgotten most of it. So it was really nice to see, to learn about it in this way. I just did a quick search, and the folks over at Quora have have given several interpretations. So one person says the short answer is because the Buddha heard the suffering of the world and found a way out of it, and more importantly decided to teach the Dhamma. It takes big ears to hear the suffering of the world and a compassionate heart too. And then another person says before he became awakened and became the Buddha, Siddhartha was a prince of the Shakya clan. He was a nobleman destined to be king. His father was king. The nobility wore heavy gold earrings as a status symbol, which stretched their earlobes. The Buddha's large stretched ears symbolize him renouncing his worldly position and status because he took his earrings out, but his ears were still stretched.
I think this was actually in the manga, like the translation notes. I recognize that. Yeah.
Oh, really?
I think so. Yeah.
Interesting. For next episode, which manga will we be reading?
We are reading Way of the House Husband, which is, I feel like it's a perfect follow-up to Saint Young Men, because it's about an ex-Yakuza member who's renounced his Yakuza ways and decided to be a loving husband and stay at home, I guess, your favorite male wife. But of course, he still does things with his Yakuza gust, because it's another comedy manga, so really good follow-up. We are reading up to chapter 27, and I forgot to mention the mangaka is Kosuke Uno. Look forward to that.
Yeah. Very nice. I'm excited. Thank you very much for listening to this episode of OCHATO.
We'll see you next time.